SEO is dead if you're still thinking about 10 blue links, but if you're willing to adopt some new SEO skills, you can benefit massively in this new AI world. In fact, I'd argue that there's more opportunity right now than ever before. So let's begin with SEO skill number 1, which is search everywhere optimization. So although Google is still the number 1 search engine and it controls a large majority of the market share, we still want to be thinking about how we can optimize across multiple platforms, not just Google. And a perfect example is just this very simple keyword, how to dribble a basketball. And you can see, look at all of the different SERP features and different websites that pop up. So the one thing you want to really get out of is thinking that your website is the only place to do SEO. It is still critical to becoming your home base for everything that you do. But we have to start thinking about, how do we do SEO on YouTube? How do we obviously optimize our Google business profile, which is a Google property? Focus on the Google owned properties first, which is obviously your Google business profile and YouTube, but then also start to explore the other platforms. You should be looking at Reddit. You should be looking at social media, because Google these days is pulling from all kinds of different places. And this is also how the large language models work as well. They are not romantic about what sources they take. They may pull from YouTube, they may pull from a website, they may pull from a very authoritative website. So at the end of the day, we want to try to be everywhere to try to dominate every single place where our customers are searching. Now, just focusing on your website is not enough anymore. The new goal is to simply own as much Google real estate as possible. And then you can see, this is a small example of what can happen. So I specifically go after the keyword, how to start an SEO business. And you can see I've taken over so many different areas, all because I focused on one core topic and created content on cross-platform to kind of dominate that one topic. Okay, so get super focused on one topic you want to go after, and then just go absolutely crazy on these different platforms to try to win search and ultimately just get in front of your ideal customers on every possible search opportunity. So you can see Google, we can see YouTube, we can see LinkedIn, we can see LinkedIn popping up here in Google, we can see Amazon, and we can see YouTube. Okay, so this is the type of strategy we have to deploy now. And the good news is, if you already know how to do SEO for Google, a lot of the same principles apply to these other platforms, because every single one of these platforms is using natural language processing, or NLP for short. So they are looking at the content that's published and they're using NLP technology to understand it, and then trying to push that content out to the appropriate people based on the interest graph. The interest graph is very simple. Whenever you go on any platform like YouTube or TikTok or any platform at this point, they are trying to serve up the most relevant content to you, because they know if they serve up the most relevant content to you, you're going to stay on the platform. So as an SEO, as someone who is trying to optimize across multiple platforms, as long as you understand that relevance is the core pillar, you should understand what it takes to ultimately optimize on these other platforms. Now, yes, it is certainly different creating a video versus writing an article, or creating a micro piece of content on LinkedIn. Yes, they're all different nuances, different kind of native type of content. But at the end of the day, the core of this at the center is relevance. And so if you understand that, we're creating content to attract our ideal clients. And if it's going to be published on our website, that's great, but we should not stop there. That's just the first place where you should begin. And we'll keep going through this, that you'll see that, Google's continuing to grow in searches, but doesn't really show the full reality of what's going on, because Google is not sending as many clicks as it used to. And now with Google's AI mode, those clicks are going to get even worse. You cannot just rely on doing SEO on Google anymore. You will get absolutely destroyed. You have to be thinking much broader. I mean, I wouldn't even say that being, an SEO is really what it used to be anymore. Like, the definition has completely changed. Now, really, if you want to be a successful SEO in this new environment, you have to be a digital marketer. You have to understand how to create content or help your clients create content the right way across multiple platforms. You have to develop more skills. It's literally critical to survive. And then SEO goal number 2 is own as much organic search real estate on other channels, as I mentioned. Okay. And you can see there are many opportunities outside of Google where we can start to capture those searches. Okay. So be thinking much broader about the KPI that really matters. And at the end of the day, all of these different platforms are just devices to send traffic and ultimately referral traffic, search traffic, whatever traffic we want back to our home base, which is our website, where we can start to drive conversions. And in some cases, we don't even need to send them back to our website. Like, for example, on Amazon, we sell books on Amazon all the time, just natively on Amazon. So even thinking about that, how can we offer our products and our services on these other platforms without the users even to lead those platforms? We have to stop being romantic about how we drive leads and sales and ultimately revenue. And measuring all of this is becoming increasingly difficult. So the one KPI that we should be really focused on, like as our lagging goal, should be just, month over month and quarter over quarter and year over year revenue growth. And at the end of the day, that's really what we should be focused on. All of these other platforms have their different metrics, different user signals and various KPIs, and you should be using those to determine the success of your content. But at the end of the day, keep the main thing, which is we're trying to actually grow businesses here. So don't be romantic about what platforms. Now, you should pick the platforms where your customers tend to gather the most. Okay. So like, for example, if I'm going after, let's say, I want to serve other search marketers, is Pinterest the best place to be for me? Probably not. Okay. If I'm trying to attract HVAC companies to invest in our SEO services, is Pinterest going to be a good fit? Probably not. Okay. So make sure you vary the platforms based on where your customers are actually living. And then one final point is the way to really do this the right way across any platform. This does not matter what platform you're creating content on. It doesn't matter whether it's on your website or you're doing it on YouTube. Does not make a difference. As long as you understand the 5 stages of customer awareness, you'll know what types of content to create. And at the end of the day, you should be creating content at each of these stages of the sales cycle for whatever product or service you're selling. And if you want, I create a free template that you can go and just scan this QR code, and you can categorize all of your content opportunities based on the different platforms, the channels, and the stage that particular topic ends up in. Okay, so this template is blank when you get it, but that's because you need to fill it in for whatever project you're currently working on. Now moving on to SEO skill number 2, which is understanding what influences large language models like ChatGPT to show your brand. So the good news about influencing ChatGPT and Gemini and Perplexity and now Google's AI mode, the good news is that you can't really directly influence those platforms, because it's not like you can go and create a profile on ChatGPT that you can then optimize. It's more looking at many different signals that those platforms use to understand what should show up in the large language model. So you have to hit multiple fronts if you want to actually get more visibility for your brand in there. So here's a really small example of a local business that's doing this just naturally. They're probably not even trying to optimize for large language models, but they're just doing it naturally because they're doing all the stuff that's required to be visible there. So number one, they've got a ton of Google reviews, right? This is an HVAC company in Plano. They've got a ton of Google reviews relative to their competitors. Remember, every battle that you're fighting for digital marketing and up against other businesses, it's always relative to that one industry. So you're competing against those people, and it's going to be the same in Google. It's going to be the same in ChatGPT. It's not going to make a difference. You're only competing against the people in your location and in your market. Okay. It's that simple. So you should be thinking about dominating them. Don't think about these kind of broader benchmarks. They don't make a difference. What matters is in your unique situation. So in this case, they are crushing it with 1,500 reviews. Maybe in another market, that wouldn't be enough. But here, they're doing a very good job. Number 2, they're ranking really well in the traditional organic results. We know that the large language models crawl search results. Google has been trying to block ChatGPT from actually crawling its search results, but we know ChatGPT uses Bing and DuckDuckGo and any other search engine that it can get its hands on. So it's crawling through there, it's using that information and then feeding it back into the large language model. And that's how it's able to figure out who should kind of show up. And so at the end of the day, the traditional signals that we use to rank in organic are going to influence what happens in a large language model. So you need to be thinking about that, not just dominating the local pack, but you also need to be attacking organic, just like you would normally, okay? And then if you do that well, you can see the outcome, right? So this is Google's AI mode. We can see ChatGPT, this is the 4.1, and we can see Perplexity. They are showing up in all 3 platforms. And like I said, They're probably not doing anything wildly technical, or you see all this like crazy stuff on, all these SEOs coming up with these crazy ways to kind of influence these platforms. But at the end of the day, just be a good business. Like that's kind of the first criteria, is like do good work and get good reviews. And then also make sure you're actually marketing your website at the end of the day and building your brand. And if you do that, you're probably going to do quite well in these platforms. So don't feel like there's some sort of little tricky way to get in here. There are some like kind of basic stuff that you can do, but just making your site incredibly crawlable and indexable, and ultimately making it easy for not just Google's algorithms and traditional search engines, but also the large language models to understand what your content is all about and be able to understand what's on those pages. Pure HTML is the way to go. So I'd be very, very careful with using a lot of JavaScript related stuff, because these platforms may not be able to crawl it very well or understand it. And so just to kind of quickly go through this, think about the different stages of marketing. We want to be focused on our earned media. We want to also focus on our owned assets. We want to focus on our rented assets. And this is what drives large language model visibility and also branded searches. Okay, so all three of these things drive branded searches, which are obviously a very good trust signal. And all three of these elements influence the large language models. So don't focus so much like, how do I, like, what little technical things can I do to manipulate the large language models? That's just wasted effort. You need to be focusing on these. If you have gaps in any of these areas, you're not going to probably do very well there. So start to just tackle these different areas. And then if you want to amplify your efforts, obviously paid can probably help a lot, right? If you're doing some offline marketing, that could help drive some visibility even in the large language models. Like, for example, a lot of people run events, and when they launch those events, they get a bunch of backlinks, right? So there's some paid type of activities that can produce some earned media as well, which then kind of directs right back to the large language model. So as I mentioned, just to kind of reiterate this, don't focus on this, focus on the things that support you showing up in those large language models. Now, SEO skill number 3 is to become a vibe coder. So one of the most important skills you can learn right now, I personally think, as an SEO, and even just in general, as just like if you want to pursue entrepreneurship, online entrepreneurship, you want to be able to build your own projects and make your own money, understanding how to use these kind of vibe coding tools. I don't really care about the whole vibe coding thing. It doesn't make a difference to me. What I care is that these platforms actually help you build real applications. They help you build websites. They help you build all kinds of things you could have never done before. And as someone who has personally invested hundreds and millions of dollars into design and development over the last decade, I can tell you that the cost to do this is literal pennies. So we're talking like 25 cents to produce. In this case, what I'm showing here is a very simple link bait example. This costs about 25 cents to make. So I created this very simple prompt here. And guess what? This prompt was created by ChatGPT. So ChatGPT created the prompt for me. I went into Replit. It created the little project, and no edits. I did not do any edits to this. And you can see, we'll go ahead and open it up. Did not touch it, and it built a fully functional prototype. This isn't just a design, it is design, and it actually is a functional prototype. So we can see here, we'll just go ahead and put 10 years old. Doesn't even matter, we can just pick whatever, and we'll do this, and we'll do rarely never. Okay, and within seconds we have a fully functional prototype that actually works. Okay, now I'm telling you, I've been quoted $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on link bait projects like this. And like I said, we did this in less than 5 minutes and for about 25 cents. So, I mean, it's pretty insane what's possible. And I can just tell you, for me, I'm very excited about this, because now the sky is the limit for what can be built. There has been a lot of gatekeeping for a very long time with design and development, where, like, if you have a really good idea, you were constrained by the expense, constrained by time, constrained by all kinds of things. And now anyone has the freedom to build like a full-on, fully built business and not have to have those constraints anymore. And you don't have to be super skilled. I have a little bit of I understand code okay, but I could never build this application from scratch. No way I could do that. I can fix things, but I can't build it from scratch. And now the speed in which we're shipping things is unparalleled. It's just mind blowing. This is to me an even bigger revelation than just the copywriting element. The copywriting is phase one of the AI development. This is the next level that's taking things to a new level. So I just pray just spend a day. Ideally, I would recommend every free moment that you have, just build some stuff. Go into Replit and just start building. Just do something, because I'm telling you, once you experience it, once you see the power, you don't even have to use Replit, by the way. I have no affiliation with Replit. There's a bunch of them out there now. But I'm just saying, just experience what happens. And it is so mind-blowing and then you start to think about, man, what are all the things that I could build in my industry? What are all the things that I haven't been building because of these limitations and this friction that I couldn't do these things? And so just for fun, inside of Gotcha SEO Academy, I wanted to show my members what's possible. So I just built a full-on business. This took me 7 days, not full-time, but 7 days part-time to build a full business. This is a fully functional business that is actually making revenue. Okay. Full on actually works. We go here, you can go and sign up. It's actually legit. This actually is a full on business. And I built it 100% through vibe coding via Replit. Okay. So it can be done. And this is front end and back end. I built front end and back end. It is working. Now, does it have bugs? Does it have issues? Absolutely. It's absolutely crazy how many things I've had to fix. But still, just to be able to get to this point is crazy, because it used to be, you would have had to wait 3 months just to get a very basic prototype out. You would have had to invest $10,000 to $100,000 to get a SaaS product out. I did it in, I think it was maybe $100 and in 7 days, and actually already profitable by making revenue with it. Okay. So just to show you the power, this is it. It's unreal. And you can tell I'm very excited about it, but that's because I just see the opportunity, and this gives businesses, this gives, practitioners so much power to do things. You can take your incredible marketing power that you spent many years building, and now you can use it to actually build real stuff, and then use that marketing power to build these things up. And we all know that it's not what we build. It's really the marketing that makes the big difference, right? Marketing is what actually makes things work. So if you have that marketing skill set, you have the SEO skill set, this puts you in a very, very unique position where you can really start to capitalize. And SEO skill number 4 is learning how to create link bait. So I'm going to be talking about this topic in London in one of my presentations, but I'll give you kind of a sneak peek into this. So link bait angles that worked. Link bait is one of the most critical things that you need to learn right now, because we know that earned media is very, very powerful for influencing large language models. So we know that backlinks, and by the way, it doesn't have to be do follow versus no follow. You don't need to have that debate. What you want to do is get backlinks from trusted entities. So those might be highly relevant entities in your particular industry. I recommend creating a Dream 100 list of websites in your industry that you want to get links on. So that's a good place to start. But also getting links from other trusted entities in general. If you get a link from Huffington Post or Forbes and it's no follow, that's still a good link. So don't avoid those links just because they're no follow. It doesn't make sense. And so what we should be thinking more is not so much about the kind of manipulative type of link building techniques, but more thinking about, is this just a good marketing? Like if our brand is present on this website, is that beneficial for us? That's what we should be thinking more about. And link bait is kind of the foundation of making this all work. So a couple quick angles. Use controversial things. This is very, very useful, especially for influencing large language models. Anything that's data driven, and especially data that you can build yourself instead of like using curated data. If you can build the data yourself, it's so powerful. And especially if you can bring kind of a controversial piece into this, not only does it function well as, clickbait, but it also functions really well as link bait as well. Animated graphics like this, beautiful. This is not showing the animation, but this is an animated graphic. These are also really, really useful. And now with AI, we could probably build these out quite quickly, way faster than we could have ever before with minimal investment. And then also really up-to-date statistics are really effective as well. If you go and look at Exploding Topics, look at their link profile, look at all the pages that they've attracted the most backlinks. It's all data-driven content, almost all of it. And they just recycle that same framework over and over, because why wouldn't you? It actually works. So just keep doing the same thing. And then building out, free tools. Once again, I already showed you with Replit, this is like so easy now. Any idea you have, you can create it, you can bring it to reality. And then once again, a quiz, this is like, would be so easy to build with vibe coding. This would be like a couple hours of work, you'd be done. And so go ahead and scan this QR code. I've got a whole database of link bait ideas that I've already found. And so basically what you want to do is take some of these ideas and then apply them to your industry. That's one of my favorite techniques. So a lot of people will look in like their industry and say like, okay, what has attracted links in my industry? But the problem is you're typically looking at ideas that are overplayed. And so you'd be much better off looking at another industry and saying, hey, that worked really well over there. I bet it could, if I put my own spin on it in my industry, it could also be really, really useful. So just go ahead and scan the QR code. I've already built a lot. These are actual assets that have attracted a lot of links. So you already know that these work. So just take advantage of this. SEO skill number 5 is learning how to become a builder, not an optimizer. Now, this is just a very simple concept, which is you have to get out of this kind of like focusing on the minutia, the little like small details of every little channel, because at the end of the day, the large language models and eventually AI agents are going to be able to do a lot of the really like tiny little detailed stuff so easily. Like anything that you used to do that you used to spend a lot of time doing, it probably can be done with the AI. So the way to really be successful, in my opinion, going forward is you have to think more about, you have to be the person that's coming up with the ideas, right? You have to be the visionary and you have to be the builder, right? And so when you think about what's going on right now, the AI can do so much, right? It is just getting to a point where it's just unbelievable what it can do, the things you can accomplish. But here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't, really think about. It doesn't actually do anything until you make it do something. So ChatGPT, Replit, give me any tool that you want. They just sit there, right? They just sit there and they're just waiting for you. They're just waiting for you to come in with your ideas and your vision and whatever it is. And then it can turn it into a reality that you can work with. And so the advantage that we're going to have going forward, like the people that are going to be successful now and going forward are the ones that are coming up with ideas and then using these tools to, support them and build them out and help them, scale out that vision. Okay. So the advantage has always been about ideas. It's not about the execution, right? That's the execution. Now we have this power to execute on almost everything. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be the best ideas are going to win out at the end of the day. So be that visionary, even if you don't have to build the next Apple, but I'm just saying you need to be the vision for your SEO campaign. You need to be the vision for your YouTube campaign. What are you trying to do? You need to lead that. And then you need to jump into these tools and let them do a lot of that heavy lifting for you. SEO skill number 6 is understanding how to build a modern SEO team. So there's been a bunch of data going around that SEO job postings are down, businesses are not hiring as much, budgets are being cut, and there's just a lot of kind of negativity and pessimism around SEO right now because a lot of businesses just don't know what to do. Okay. And how can you blame them? This has been just crazy the last couple of years and no one really knows what's going on. Now, the thing is, a lot of the cuts and a lot of the lack of new jobs and the lack of new wage growth, it actually all makes a lot of sense. And I hate to say that. And I do believe that a lot of jobs are going to be replaced. And that's because the AI can do so much, right? And so I think it's more about thinking, if you want to survive, how do we become more valuable? And in general, in the marketplace, the more valuable you are to the marketplace, the more money you are going to make. That's how it's always been. That's how it's always going to be. And the people that can adapt with this change and continue to be valuable despite all of these things that are going on are going to be the ones that win. So I want to show you kind of what a new kind of SEO team is going to look like. And by the way, this is going to keep changing all the time. New technology comes, new ways of doing things, faster and better and easier. And that's what we should always be thinking about. As a business, that's what you should be thinking of, is how do we do things easier, faster, and better and more profitable? That's what a business should be doing. And so, of course, businesses should employ people, but at the end of the day, the business is not, it's like a for-profit business is not a charity. It is designed to generate profit. And if, that is the unfortunate nature that, in some cases, some jobs are going to be cut. Okay. So here's what a new team will look like. So you're going to have your search strategist, just my opinion of what it's going to look like. Okay. So a human plus AI. So the strategist is quite simple. Like I mentioned before, nothing happens until a human comes in at this point. Will that change? Maybe. But right now, a human still has to get the ball rolling. The human is the engine behind anything that happens right now. And so the human comes in, has an idea, has a vision, has a general strategy of what it wants to do. And then you go to the AI to refine that strategy. So that's typically what I do these days. I come up with my own strategy. This is like my rule, my number one rule when it comes to using AI. I come up with my own ideas first. I don't first go to ChatGPT. So I come up with my own ideas of what I want, and then I go to ChatGPT and I work back and forth, brainstorming back and forth, boom, boom, boom. And I develop an even better strategy that I couldn't have done on my own. Okay. And also at a lot faster speed. But you be the seed, you be the seed. And that's what will actually help you get better outputs with the AI as well. Okay. So you're the strategist. Then you have the content team. Now, once again, use the tools that are available. Rankability is a perfect tool for this. Not only does it use NLP technology, which is just a subset of AI, and it can help you make your content perfectly built for large language models, because this is the technology that they use to understand human language, which is NLP. But it also can actually create the content for you to be extremely well optimized and make sure that you're hitting on the appropriate entities. This is the crazy thing, is that if you use rankability, I'm not saying you have to use it. Of course, I'm very biased here, but it is so incredibly awesome right now, because when you build content there, it is, the original purpose was designed for Google, but at the end of the day, it's really designed using NLP and ultimately to help you optimize for entities. And entities is how these large language models operate, right? So when they look at content, they're not just like reading it word for word, they're extracting the entities out to understand what is actually going on. So what we do is we scrape your top competitors, we extract all those important entities from them, and then we serve those up to you. And then you actually create your content so that without a shadow of a doubt that it's incredibly relevant. So the more relevant the pages are, the better they're going to perform in Google's AI mode, and also across the large language models. Okay, so you can just use rankability to streamline this for you. And then the technical side, once again, like you can use the agents to improve loading speed. You can use them to build your front end. You can improve your front end code to make it faster and leaner. You can do so many things. And then on top of it, you could use the large language models like ChatGPT to act as your quality assurance, right? So the way that I do it is I start with Replit, and then I go back to ChatGPT and I have it review the work that Replit did. And then I have ChatGPT give the prompt that I then feed right back into Replit. So funny thing is, I'm actually, I'm sometimes in there working on stuff and like actually come with my own ideas. But in general, like a lot of it is kind of AI to AI communication. And I found that that's incredibly effective, like so effective. So I cannot stress that enough. And also, by the way, a little hack that I didn't mention, which is inside of Replit for that little like test business that I built just to kind of prove that it works. I'm having it also do the customer service. So any email that comes in, I download the email, I upload it to Replit, and I say, solve this customer service problem. And it goes through and it figures it out, solves the problem, and sends the email to the customer. So not only is it doing design and development, but it's also acting as customer service. So it's pretty insane, all for like, pennies, basically. And then also even on the analytics side, like if you've ever been confused about like Google Analytics 4, Google Search Console, any tool, honestly, you just take a screenshot of where you are currently in the tool and say, walk me through this process. Help me set up conversion tracking in Google Analytics 4. And then you just go screenshot by screenshot, every little detail, and it will walk you through that really, really well. So once again, everything you're looking at here, one person could technically run this whole operation right here. One motivated, well-organized person could do it. Now, do I recommend that? Probably not. You probably want to have an architect in each of these divisions. So you have your technical architect, you have your content, you have your analytics, but in general, like, the need for humans is greatly diminished because these tools can do so much. And at the end of the day, I think what this is going to become, what teams are going to become, is basically many strategists and architects, and then many agents and large language models, souped up with APIs and various things to just execute at a high level. So you need to be learning this stuff, because I'm telling you, this is the way it's going to be going forward. And if you want to continue to be valuable in the marketplace, you have to be the strategist, you have to be the builder, you have to be at the center of all of this. And finally, SEO skill number 7 is learning to be adaptable. So obviously the biggest question that people are having right now is like, you learn one thing and then AI comes out with some sort of new innovation and it renders what you did useless. And so that just is an ongoing thing, and just accept that as the new reality. Okay. So, how do you keep your skill set fresh and valuable with constant innovation? Well, it's quite simple. You just have to be willing to adapt. When something gets replaced with a better technology, use that better technology and just keep doing that over and over. Don't ever at this point become resistant to change. You will get absolutely destroyed. Like, at the end of the day, that is the most dangerous thing you can do right now. You have to be adaptable. You have to be organic with your movements. And most importantly, avoid sunk costs. Okay. This is something that will destroy any business, any person that's trying to build a career. It's the most dangerous behavior, because everything that you did in the past is irrelevant. All that matters is right now. And for example, I've been doing SEO for over a decade. There's plenty of things that, I put so much time and effort into this, this skill set, if you want to call it. But all of the stuff that I learned many, many years ago doesn't matter. Even though I put a lot of time and money and effort into it, it doesn't matter because it's not relevant today. So all that matters is what's relevant today and what you're learning right now. And your results that happened yesterday are also irrelevant. All that matters are your results that you're getting today. Okay. And so right now, we cannot be romantic. Like, just pretend like every day is a new day and you're just kind of layering and you're compounding your skills and you're taking action so you can continually learn and get better. Because right now the key is ruthless and intense action, because that's really what's going to make a difference, because that's what's going to help you learn the most. But just be careful of this sunk cost fallacy trap. And then you have to be really careful of not changing. Okay. Never before has it been more dangerous than right now to stay the same. Because if you're willing to stay the same, you're basically accepting that you're just going to let this thing steamroll you, which is this AI movement. It's going to steamroll you and it's going to take your job away. It's going to take your opportunities away, and it's going to be given to people that are using the technology to their advantage. It's going to be given to the people that are not afraid to change, that are saying, what, a lot is happening, but I'm going to try to figure it out. I'm going to try to learn. Okay. If you do that, that's going to put you in an advantage. But the truth is, let's face it, most people are not going to do that. Most people are just going to go on social media and complain about it instead of actually just use it. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get more intense. So start using it, become a user of these platforms, which is the most, the final point here I want to, bring home today, which is just don't try to use the old ways of learning to learn what's going on right now. That is just the worst way that you can do it. Unfortunately, schools are extremely outdated. I'm just going to say it straight up. You go to school and you read a book and you got to try to learn, and then you got to try to apply that. There's no point of doing that now, because application is what leads to learning. So when you take action and you encounter a particular problem and you don't know how to solve that problem, and you go through the process of solving that one little problem, you learn, right? And then when you compound that over hundreds and thousands of instances of micro problems that you've resolved, that's what builds experience. That's what creates learning. And so reading a book about dribbling a basketball doesn't make you good at dribbling a basketball. You have to actually do it. And right now, by the way, you can see my books back there. I'm a big fan of reading, but I have not, my reading time and investment has gone down so much. I'd say it's dropped by 99%. I mean, I almost do not read books, honestly, really at all. The only thing I read basically is what I'm reading inside of the AI, what the AI is feeding to me, and I'm reading that. But I'm not sitting down and reading a book trying to figure something out, because I don't need to. I can just go to any of these platforms and I can get my answer instantly based on some sort of unique scenario, and I can just keep moving, right? Why would I sit down and read a 300-page book? It just does not make any logical sense anymore. And so do things, build projects, take action, and learn that way. That is the fastest way to learn. And in fact, I've said this about SEO even in the past. Like, I sell an SEO training program, and I have for a long time. But I still tell people in my program, the best way to learn SEO is not to just consume my systems, consume my training. The best way to do it is just to actually do SEO. Like, if I tell you, here's how to do keyword research, go and do keyword research, right? That is the way that you learn. It's not by just sitting here passively and watching a video. That doesn't do anything. You have to actually get your hands dirty. And the cool part is, if you're willing to do that, your learning happens so fast. It happens so incredibly fast. But not only that, it sticks. Whatever you learn through experience actually sticks with you and compounds over time. Things that you consume, you watch, forget about it, right? I don't even know what YouTube video I watched yesterday. That's just gone. The only stuff that sticks around is from action. So hope that helps. And if you like this video, obviously like it, and please subscribe. Thanks.